Now touch upon developing Sri Lanka as a premier nautical tourism destination, strategies for attracting high-end travelers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on stage Mr. Buddhika Hevawasam, Chairman, Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau. A round of applause.
First, thank you very much for this opportunity to highlight our initiatives on marine tourism, as well as being part of the great initiative of expanding the blue economy in Sri Lanka and the marine economy in Sri Lanka. And I think it's a great opportunity to talk to you about the marine tourism after Dr. Doring's speech. Actually, he was being mentioned that he has dealings with the Sri Lanka tourism earlier, and there are initiatives that we made on marine tourism. Rather, the initiatives, he made certain suggestions, but it was not being implemented at that time. But what we can promise is that is not the case right now. So we came here with a marine tourism roadmap. So that was, I think, is the initiative which was being started sometimes back. But it come into the fruition right now. By next week or so, we are actually releasing this marine tourism roadmap. Plus, there are certain investors as well as the certain innovators or certain people who are in the industry who's going to be part with the marine tourism activities. And we are inviting Dr. Doring as well to be part with us on this particular nautical tourism initiatives, and also the other gentlemen and the ladies who have been sitting here who are expert in the marine industry to be part with us on the marine tourism. Because the fact is, Sri Lanka being an island has 3 times larger marine space than the land space. So if you are not using the marine space, it is utterly a waste. For in the industrial point of view or the fisheries point of view or any other sources, you might be using it in a kind of a good and effective manner. But I must say in the tourism, we are not using it in an effective manner yet. Probably use, in the marine part, we use coast more than the particular beyond the coast initiatives. So our initiatives are actually covering something beyond the coast as well, especially one area that doctor has been talking about, the nautical tourism. But other than the nautical tourism, there are many other activities, because this island has many shipwrecks around this island. And also there are island hopping, which is the activities that can be easily done. We have a lot of islands in the northern and the eastern part of Sri Lanka, especially the northern part, and in the Kalpitiya Peninsula is actually open for the tourism activities, and which actually is in vain, because the fact in tourism, as I think most of the speakers mentioned earlier as well, and as well as we all know, we have been going to ended up in 2 million tourists all this time period. That means we are actually framing ourselves within the 2 million barrier, which people who have started tourism along with us, the countries who started tourism along with us, maybe Cambodia, maybe Vietnam, maybe all other places, are actually exceeding 8 million barrier, and also exceeding the 15 million or 20 million US dollar targets, which we are always talking about, this particular 15 billion US dollar target, which we have been talking about, 3 billion to 4 billion US dollar revenue. Our maximum is 4.2 billion US dollar revenue, which was being achieved in 2018. So in this year, we will be achieved probably 3 billion US dollars with 2 million targets. So this 2 million and 4 billion story need to be changed. In order to change it, marine tourism has a bigger part to play, especially usage of marine as well as other kind of product development initiatives will only make ourselves different. That means we need to find out more tourists. Not only more tourists, the tourists who can spend more, and there are things to spend more. So the marine is one area where you can spend more, and there are things that you can engage and spend more as well. So I think I already mentioned what has been there. So we have a 1,200 kilometer coastline. I think doctor mentioned about half of this size coastline, which is being utilized properly for marinas and all these kind of other activities. So this is twice the size. We have mangroves, we have coral reefs, we have blue whales in sea, as well as the largest land mammal on earth. We have been like say celebrating all this, but the potentials are still to be footage or like say still to be taken into consideration. So, and the other popular activities that we have been in for long lasting time period are driving, snorkeling and surfing and things of that sort. But are we been using it in a commercial tourism purposes is the question, and also in a sustainable manner and the commercial viable manner is the question. So we do have the activities. We are actually having all these activities in place. Probably we have established Navy from long time back. So we have like say because of being an island, we are strategically are part of this particular sea and the marine activities. But converting those activities into tourism is a kind of a deal that we have right now. So marine tourism in the world is also one of the fastest growing areas beyond the particular luxury space of nautical tourism, yachts and things like that. Probably the diving, the island hopping and all these kind of activities of whale watching and even the underwater museums and things of those sort have been taken popularity in all over the world. So if you have been thinking about where we want to go, as I think it is my life made easy by the Dr. Doring himself, because of the fact that we have been talking about Malaysia, Maldives, Thailand, Malaysia, as well as in Croatia. All these kind of countries using their marines for the particular, say, tourism purposes and achieve, I think, higher echelon with the marine tourism pathway. So at least like if you think about the nearest island of ours, is very much reaping the benefit of the water bungalows. And also if you think about the places like Kerala, though it is not marine itself, the backwaters of Kerala is being using for houseboats, right? So those kind of activities are well and easily done in Sri Lanka, as we have a set of people who has a kind of a better tourism and hospitality mentality. Plus we have all those kind of resources in the place of here, but at the same time, whether we are utilizing it for the purpose of developing the marine or probably the water-based activities is the question. So that is where this roadmap and everything has been coming in place, and where we need the support of the investors as well as the innovators to be part of this particular process. And say we can develop high quality niche products and the particular lifestyle products. Actually, if you think about the most important tourist resorts in Sri Lanka, maybe Bentota, maybe Negombo, maybe Arugam, maybe Eastern Coast, all these are coastal and marine areas which is already popular, which is all about converting it into a more high potential and high involved activities which we reap more benefits. And the particular elevating of the standards as a premier marine tourist destination is one of the targets of ours. Because if you've been thinking about to break in this particular 2 million mentality, we need tourists coming all over the world, and also we need to break the barrier of seasonality. The seasonality factor is one of the biggest barrier which is being confined to Sri Lanka. We know, like say, we do have two high tourist seasons, and the other seasons are low and lull. So that particular thing can only be break by using East Coast as well as the West Coast properly. Because of the monsoon, when you are being like not being able to utilize the West Coast, your East Coast has no monsoon and it is dry. So that kind of strategy will be the particular way forward for us to be going ahead. Probably there are certain things that we need to be considered in the marine tourism. I think I don't want to go towards that much because of the fact we all know about those facts and the regional disparities, the unequal tourism development and all, which is these facts are actually the facts that we need to be considered and to be developed the other side. Actually, if you think about the East Coast marine activities or the tourism activities are still limited. East Coast is probably not being utilized properly as our West Coast. Even in the upper part of the West Coast, if you have been thinking about the Kalpitiya beyond, the usage is very limited. On the other hand, Tourism Development Authority has been carrying a lot of land masses there. And we are actually, probably that is some area, and that is an area which we all are working together right now to make these lands investment friendly. We make these particular ventures investment friendly, because right now, you know, like say any venture in Sri Lanka in tourism to be started, you need about 15 licenses from different agencies. Probably the lead time from the concept to implementation is more than 2 years. So no investor doesn't want to put their money on a kind of a landmass and waiting for 2 years to be start with. So that is one of the biggest areas that we are right now working on. So hopefully when next time I'll be participating in one of those conferences, I will be having the solutions and I will be not being challenged by you. Probably we will be maybe be able to invite you with a full hand of those kind of projects and the particular guarantee of approvals. So that is one area that we have been looking at. So in marine tourism front, actually this roadmap has been developed in certain areas. I'm again not detailed it because we have been going to launch it by next week itself. So probably the soft copies will be available for all of you in public with our website as well. And one of those areas is Kalpiti. Actually, you know that Kalpiti Dash Bay Tourism Development Project was initiated long time back in 2015 onward. But at the same time, the Kalpiti was not being properly utilized because of that fact. Kalpitiya became a regional tourist destination, and the particular benefits that we're reaping out of Kalpitiya is very low. The people who invested in Kalpitiya for tourism ventures are not necessarily making profit out of it at the moment. And there are certain requirements of the fresh water, this, that, and all other kind of factors. But apart from those, we don't see much activities there except kite surfing, which is being happening in the Kalpitiya Peninsula right now. So we need more activities to be happening, as well as more activities to be done in the particular marine tourism front. So the water sport development is already started in Kalpitiya in a more haphazard manner, I must say, which need to be more focused and systematically developed, and to be putting Kalpitiya into the tourism map, because in most cases what happens is, when you are depending in the tour operator based mentality, whole tourism is clockwork in Sri Lanka. So you started here, you go to maybe like say Dambulla Kandy and coming back to Bentola, and that kind of a circle. Wherever the things are not within that circle, is not been considered as a kind of a tourism destination by most of the operators. So that mentality need to be break. So we are working on that as well, because we are working with the individual and small tour operators, because of the fact, especially in the marine and all, we need specialized tour operators to be invited, being partnered with the tour operations as well as the government tourism bodies like us. So that is one area we have been very much focused, and diving and snorkeling in marine, the Kalpitiya Bay, as well as the ecotourism development. You know that Kalpitiya has been bordered in one hand to the Vilpattu National Park, which is the largest national park of this country, which actually is a national park which is not been recognized by tourists much, which can be easily seen the animals, easily been seen different terrains, and easily connected the freshwater as well as the particular seawater together, where you can kayak throughout the Kumbukangoya and that kind of area. So those are the things that we have been very much focused on. So we are again trying to reinvent the particular Kalpitiya, probably revitalizing it with the particular marine tourism plan. In Galle anyway, it's been a famous destination. Galle being one of the most historical harbors in Sri Lanka, as well as one of the places which has highest number of marine activities happening, is very easily converted into certain areas. Like even right now, we have been working on a proposal of a goal, not exactly in Galle, but in the particular area about developing a museum, underwater museum, with an access for the differently able people. So the marine and underwater activities are not only for the able people. That means even the differently able tourists can access, because one area which we are very much focused in this time is to be making people the accessible tourism up and running in Sri Lanka. Actually, it's in line with what Dr. has been talking about. The retirees as well as the elders market is one thing what we have been looking at. Of course, the visa process will be in place from the next year, and tourist visa will be granted for 1 year beyond for the elders as well as the digital nomads. So those are actually one of the key proposals that we made to the cabinet, which is going to be happen from the next year onward. So trust me, it will happen. And the other hand, the particular goal and such kind of area, I talked about this particular marine museum, if it's been done in the way it is need to be done, and the particular areas have been demarcated, unfortunately, in some cases what happened is certain things are being blocked in certain minute issues, certain projects about marine tourism. This proposal was being blocked on certain issue of being not permitting certain places, so it's been changed. Now it is one of the particular first museums. It has been developed, it can be developed within 6 months period, because the things that you're putting in museum are on ground, build, and everything has been done. It's all about making it underground and did the particular project going on. So once that project is in place, it is one of the first accessible, friendly marine museums in the world. So that is going to be happen. and we are very much forward to look at it. So I am not going much on the particular goal area and that kind of development. And even in Trincomalee is one of the key areas which is being identified to develop as a blue flag beaches, because like in beach certification, if you think about the sustainability aspects, Sri Lanka needs certain blue flag certification because of the fact the tourists are right now very much conservation oriented, and they've been looking for marine spaces which has higher level of conservation certifications. Because we know maybe the western beaches of ours are not the most sustainable beaches in the country. So at least we need to demarcate certain sustainable beaches, and that actually gives us a kind of a leverage over the edge over the particular rest of the countries. The beaches are not that great. So the blue flag beaches or the 5 beaches which have been going to demarcated as blue flag will be happening within the next year's time. We have already started converting these beaches and obtaining the certification through certain consultancy. So that's one area we are working with. And again, the activities in Trinco is immense. Probably if the colleagues of ours in Navy has been supporting those activities, probably we can make this place more tourism friendly, and we can work together on those kind of activities. So that is something which we have been looking at. Then we have been thinking about Jaffna. Jaffna, the particular area itself in that peninsula, we have very low tourism penetration at the moment, which has the highest level of tourism potential, which has a lot of islands around, a lot of activities around, lot of cultural diversity, as well as the vibrant environment itself, which can attract year-long tourists. On the other hand, the Jaffna is now being sea connected, at least not Jaffna, but the northern peninsula is being sea connected toward Mannar Player, and as well as in air connected through Jaffna Airport. So those two things are actually helping our activities in the marine tourism front also. So there are certain recommendations, certain guidelines which has been developed, make the particular life easy for us to go forward, along with the particular investors and the potential partners. So we are very much welcoming those partners to work with us on the area. And other area is the Mannar. Mannar is one of the lowest penetrated areas which has highest level of tourism potential. And Mannar again has a lot of beachfront lands, belongs to the government and the tourism authorities, which again required a lot of attention from the marine tourism front and the marine tourism investment. So from wildlife sightseeing, if you think about Mannar is one of the migratory bird zones itself. The Ramsar wetland is one of the wetlands have been locating here, and you can have a kind of a vibrant wildlife photography in the Mannar area itself. So kite surfing, windsurfing, as well as certain amount of ecotourism and cultural activities can happen. So along with that, the northeastern belt is very much potential for marine tourism activities, which is, I must say, not neglected. Probably marine tourism was not being considered as one of the major priority of tourism all this long, which we consider it should need to be given its own place and the priority. So that is what our aim is. So probably in the most cases we need to create awareness, we need to create certain ecotourism kind of guidelines in these places, and with the expert support we need to have a kind of a commercial driven activities, but not compromising the sustainability aspects of it. So those two are very much going in hand, and we are thinking about getting the support of all of you. I think, like, except me, all of you who have been sitting here one way or other are marine experts. Probably the subject that I know is tourism. So if we are being worked together, if we are being, like, say, marrying together, the marine tourism potential of Sri Lanka is immense, and we are willing to consider these proposals. We are willing to take it forward, and probably we are willing to take it along with the other intergovernmental agencies, because if you have been thinking about the marine front, are actually governed by various agencies. Probably certain marine areas are wildlife conservative areas. If you think about Kumala, if you think about the area of Vilpattu and Kalpitiya, even in the upper peninsula, most of the areas has certain wildlife involvement. And the CCF is being involved, the Navy is being involved, various parties are being involved. But I know all of us want tourism development to be happening in Sri Lanka. We know that it is the third largest revenue generator, plus you all know that is one of the highest potential areas with highest growth rates. As Dr. very rightly mentioned, neither the apparels nor the particular remittance can go beyond its particular marks, but tourism can. Tourism can, at least by its threefold. So our targets are about 5 million tourists and at least 10 billion US dollar in 2030. None of those will be possible without considering marine as an important aspect of the tourism landmark of ours or tourism map of ours. So my invitation is for all of you, considering on behalf of Sri Lanka tourism as well as on behalf of the present Sri Lankan government and as well as on behalf of all Sri Lankans, please, if you have any proposal related to marine tourism, related to the particular sea and nautical tourism activities, bring it to us and we are there to support you. We are there to place it and we are there to be with you until that it will take fruition. We believe on partnerships and we believe on a kind of a mutual development itself. So that is the message that I want to convey. And thank you very much again for EDB as well as all the other organizers who made this particular presentation possible for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Buddhika. We would like to urge you to remain on stage, sir, for a small token of appreciation. And to do the honors, I would like to invite Ms. Anoma Premathilaka, Additional Director General to the Sri Lanka Export Development Board. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as we have Ms. Anoma on stage to hand over a token of appreciation to the Chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau. Well, thank you, sir, once again for the reassurance of support to all prospective investors listening and out there joining us today.